Well, greetings. This is Dr. Dean Blevins, and I just wanted to take a moment to say welcome to this course, CHED 6160, Congregational Education and Formation, that's being taught here at Northwest Nazarene University. I'm actually one of two professors that teaches in this class, the other one being Dr. Mark Maddox. You might recognize us since both of us are also the co-authors of one of your major textbooks, Discovering Discipleship, The Dynamics of Christian Education. And I know for myself and for Dr. Maddox, it's a pleasure to be a part of this program at Northwest Nazarene University. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an orientation to the course as we begin, and then hopefully look forward to some online conversation as well. If you have a chance to look through the program, you'll note that this course is a basic introduction to the practice of congregational education and formation, which sometimes goes by the term discipleship as a more comprehensive term, or you will sometimes just hear the phrase Christian education, or sometimes you may hear a more antique phrase called catechesis, which is an early church term for discipleship as well. Throughout the semester, you'll probably see all of those terms used interchangeably, though within this program, one reason that we include both education and formation is to respect both the more recent emphases on Christian education proper, as well as this emerging and very important emphasis on formation, spiritual formation, in and through the local congregation also. You will note that we have a number of books to read in this course. I've already alluded to one of the texts that's co-written by Dr. Maddox and myself. There will be 4 other texts that we'll look at, the second one being that of Norma Cook Everest's book, The Church's Learning Community. And much like Discovering Discipleship, it's a comprehensive approach to education and formation in the local church. So those 2 books work side by side in the way in which they sort of give you a broad overview, one from within the Wesleyan tradition, the other from within a broader, more mainstream approach that should help you think about the totality of formation and education in your local congregation. A third book that's very important, one that we'll be reading each week as part of your own sort of personal journey in this class, is the work of Parker J. Palmer and his book, The Courage to Teach. I will go ahead and note that there are 2 editions of that book. One of them was done back in 1998, and depending on when you see the syllabus, you might see that edition. There's a more recent edition of the book that actually includes an appendix, and I really would encourage that you get the second edition of that text. And I'm going to double check to make sure. If you don't, we'll try to make sure that you get the appendix that was added to the second edition. In some ways, Dr. Parker's book is a really challenging text in helping us to think about who we are as teachers. That hopefully will challenge you throughout this 7-week semester that we're together. I do know that book has been very popular not only in Christian education, but also just in the field of education, since it addresses sort of a spirituality of teaching and was a substantive book. The follow-up, Dr. Parker Palmer's first text, To Know as We Are Known, which was his sort of spirituality of education. So I'd recommend that book also alongside the one you're reading for this class. We have 2 other books that you'll be reading. One of those is by Charles Foster called Educating Congregations, The Future of Christian Education. It's a very appropriate book, particularly in the way it thinks about Christian education within a given context, within a local church context. In some ways, it's much more specific to kind of challenge us to say, as I am studying and understanding Christian education broadly, and how congregational education formation might work across many different churches, I also need to think about how it works within a given church and the importance of what that looks like in a specific context. The last book that you'll be reading in this class is by Jack Seymour. It's called Teaching the Way of Jesus, Educating Christians for Faithful Living. Again, it's a thought provoker. It's a more recent text, and much like Dr. Forster's book, Dr. Foster's book, excuse me. It is a book to kind of compel you to think about a particular way of approaching Christian education in the future. So we'll have 5 texts that we'll look at throughout the semester. You probably have had a chance to look at the syllabus, but just in case you haven't, you'll note that we're following a basic outline that starts with an introduction to Christian education, moves through both theological and biblical and historical foundations. We have flipped some of that emphasis so that you get into theology earlier, particularly a Wesleyan approach. Since Northwest Nazarene University is part of the Wesleyan tradition, we really did want you to have a strong introduction to that very early. Now, while that more theoretical introduction and theological introduction is going on, you'll also be reading Dr. Foster's book, so you'll be challenged as much as you are sort of studying Christian education as a discipline. You'll also be challenged to understand how that works within a given church, a given context right away. One thing you'll see in the NNU program is that all the ministry practice classes take very seriously the local congregation. And so we want you to be thinking about a local church throughout the course so that as you envision an approach, what we call the case proposal of what ministry looks like, you're starting with a local congregation in mind. The rest of the semester then moves into paying attention to people, particularly how they grow and develop, and also what it means to teach faithfully, and finally think, again, more comprehensively of forming people through the local congregation. Almost every week you'll have a pretty regular rhythm of reading and responding to each other, so pay close attention to that. I do want a steady engagement. And then toward the end of the semester, you get your second major challenge, which is basically coming up with your own philosophy, theology of congregational education and formation. That will be a comprehensive assignment, so we'll look forward to seeing you sort of shape this in your own voice toward the end of the semester. Now, this is a very quick introduction, but hopefully it'll be a good one to get you started, and we'll look forward to seeing you online. Blessings to you.